account progression checklist. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, and then we open a chat here. And then we open your stuff right there. It's already too much. Oh. Alright. Class, Kanna, level 208.
Yes. I was going to hit 210 tonight, but the EXP's fallen off. And we're in maintenance.
Yep. Yeah, so the last one was earlier today. But we still got double drop coming. You're probably going to take advantage of that as well, right?
Yeah.
Name is Mesos Pleases. Nice.
This was an old account that I brought back to life. It was just supposed to be a mule, so I'm going to have to change that name at some point.
I don't know. I mean, when people see the name, they already know what role you are, so that seems pretty... seems pretty good. What do we have here? Time to play. How much do you play?
Right now, about 40 hours a week. I'm currently on leave from coronavirus.
Yep.
And then I go back to university, so I don't plan on doing 40 hours during that time.
Okay. You just have one computer available, I assume?
I do have multiple, but I'd rather just keep it to the one.
Yeah, and you're just playing on Kanna as well, so it would be very minor benefit to you anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the goal? The goal is to be CRA ready, basically, right? That's the short-term goal?
Yes, I'm playing with some friends at the moment, and I refuse to get carried, and so does one other friend, so we really want to do that as a party.
Alright, so just duoing, that's the goal? Duoing CRA?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay, and what is he at?
Big group, if indeed. He is slightly before me. He's a totally brand new MapleStory player, so I'm kind of leading there. But I wouldn't mind doing a party with 5.
Okay. Yeah, there's like the thing with CRA where if you're a lot of people, it can get more complicated if not everyone has as much of a grip on the mechanics.
Okay.
Then the boss can almost get more complicated than if you have less people. So like for Queen, for example, if you have enough people, if you're just solo, then if the breath hits you, you basically get one shot. But if you're enough people, you can just stay together and tank it, and it's actually better because those burning stacks, those red burning stacks, right, that do damage over time.
Yes.
So if she hits you with the breath, then that explodes and that goes away, and then you don't get the stacks anymore. But of course, it comes at the price of death if you're alone. But if you're with a group of people, then it cleanses the fire, and you all just tank it together and not die. But if some people move around or get like nervous because of the breath and everything, and then they move away, then the people who don't move away then end up getting blown up. So yeah, you gotta have really good communication there.
Sure.
You gotta be on like the same page. And a lot of the bosses also, like for Clown, the red one teleports to someone, but if everyone is in different spots in the map, you don't know who he's teleporting to, so every space where they stand could be instant death if you stand there. And then the more you're spread out, it can actually make it more complicated than if you're soloing. So it's good that everyone knows the mechanics and has like a good game plan going into it. It's not just like, let's just go in and see where we go. Because, I mean, you could do that the first time, but you'll get like rolled.
Yeah, clapped. My one friend who isn't who is new to Mabel, he is insistent on doing all of the easy bosses with 80k range because it just wants to learn the mechanics. So I suppose that's a good thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if that lays a very solid foundation for. Dude, you have quite an accent. I wonder if everyone in the chat can understand what you're saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try and speak a little bit more clearer.
Who is the Australian guy? That's not Australian. Okay, nice. It's Irish, right?
Scottish. Close.
Yeah, Scottish, yeah, close. Yeah. Someone said Irish in chat. Fucked me up. Goddamn. I should have known. Irish is the like at the end of the sentence, everything goes up, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah. Scottish is more the ginger beard kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those.
Wait, let me see. Ah, yeah, I can see. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Actually, no, it's a lot longer now than it is in that picture.
Ah, okay, you're growing it out.
Yeah.
Nice. He sounds like an extra from Outlander. He does, yeah. Okay, so let's look at the current situation. So we got the general idea of what you want to do. It's good. Okay, so that's the clean range. So you haven't unlocked your inner abilities. Have you figured that out since then, or?
I have not done that. I was just locking it so I don't reroll it until I have a good amount of points to get legendary.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I didn't. From playing before Epic and Unique, I didn't really see a significant benefit of having those until I was getting it legendary. So
yep.
just
No,
left
that's
it, whatever.
yep. That's perfectly fine. Just looking at everything here. So one of the things that the main things you're going to be working on for Kanna is your critical rate and your ignore defense if you want to be like part of the damage dealers, right? What a lot of people obviously do is they just get their domain and they focus on maxing domain so that they have value for the party in that way.
What does maxing domain do? I've heard that quite a lot, but I've never.
It just makes it last longer, so the uptime is better.
Okay.
And it gives more final damage to the people who are standing in it, so that everyone gets more bonus damage from it. So basically, you add damage indirectly by buffing everyone harder.
It's kind of like Bishop in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it's easier than Bishop because Bishop's skill scales off of how much stat you have, so you have to upgrade everything, you have to spend a lot of money there. And for Kanna, it's just the level of the domain that matters. So you just throw boost nodes at it, and then you basically give yourself 40 levels worth of funding just by leveling that one skill. That's why Kannas are seen as the easier ones. And then even if your ignore defense is low, and even if your critical rate is low, and you're not, and your level is low, and you're not really doing much damage yourself, you just basically are worth your weight just because of domain. So it kind of depends on how hard you want to go there on being the one that deals with damage, or obviously maxing your domain costs a lot of nodes, which you probably can't do immediately. So you probably want to do a healthy mix of the two, where you both know what your value is as a support and you utilize that as much as possible, but also do some of the damage yourself and be valuable there that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so for Bishop, it like scales off of the
scales off it, right. Okay, so in a group setting, I imagine until my ignore defense is up there for at least just Vellum as well, I would just be trying to focus on my domain level.
Yeah, so like a combination of everything. I'm assuming that your nodes right now are probably going into boost nodes, but like pretty low, I'm assuming.
I'm using I think I have one try node that's level 1. I haven't put my nodes up here.
Okay, they're not in here, okay.
I haven't leveled up anything.
Okay. But you
I've just got them. I've got them all sitting. I was waiting to dismantle them when I've got a bit more, and then I'm not really knowledgeable about the V matrix at all. I was playing just when 5th Job came out, and then I quit roughly 2 months after.
I see. Yeah, and there's a lot of skills have been added since then.
Yes.
Let's see what the command says. Two strengths, haunting. Charm, yes, is in there. So if you can, if you have a lot of nodes, if you can, you want to try to group your bossing skills together, your exclusively bossing skills together, and maybe your exclusively mobbing skills together. That way you can switch those nodes out depending on the situation. You can optimize the amount of slots you have left over for skill nodes.
Okay.
So see that they mainly want to make you do 2. I know some people do Kishin as well, but that's mainly if you're going to be a farming character, so you can one or two shot with Kishin faster, so you can get better rates and level faster. Oh yeah, that's here. Kishin, Exorcist Charm.
Is Tengu Strike again just for farming?
I think people also weave that in while attacking, because you can kind of like be attacking and Tengu Strike and send Tengu Strike out and get Tengu Strike back without much loss of attack inputs, and therefore it's like a little bit of extra damage by having it fire out. Because yeah, these seem to be Shigami Haunting and Tengu Strike and Ghost Juxta Boss. It's like a combination for both mobbing and bossing.
Okay.
And then Vanquisher's Charm and Yosuzume is also... You know the names of the skills, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Shigami Doppelganger is mainly for bossing, and I guess in the beginning it's kind of useful to clear elite monsters so they don't like fuck with you too much. Because that's like a hard short burst, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Kishin. I don't know why they want to boost Vanquisher's Charm though, because you only really use it to charge your domain. So that's the main thing. Do you know about like the charge domain mechanic and all that?
I do not.
Okay, so typically what people do is like they pop domain and you put it in the middle of the map, and then it gets wider around the center of the crystal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you pop the what's her name? The blue spirit chick that like floats behind you.
Yes.
And then you just hold Vanquisher's Charm, and then that's the fastest way to charge the domain.
Does the domain get bigger the more mana you spend?
Yeah, you see the little balls like float to the middle, and then
Yes.
as it reaches a certain mass, the crystal will like get a little bit bigger, and then the domain will get bigger. And there's three stages. So there's the initial stage, and then there's one bigger, and then there's a second bigger stage, and that's when you have the final stage. That's when you give the most final damage buff to people who are standing in it. And that's when you want to tell everyone like, hey, my domain is charged. And then they start like popping all of. Well, first you say like, okay, I'm charging domain. That means you put it down, and then you use the blue lady, and then you vanquish your charm. You don't have to be standing in the domain to charge it. You can also be just in the corner of the map, just holding your skill. That works just fine too.
Okay.
Because the orbs of the mana you spend will just fly towards the crystal, basically. And then when you're like, okay, final stage, then everyone knows like, okay, we got to make sure that all of our buffs are popped. Everyone's ready. Then they can optimize their damage within the highest final damage. And then you just wait for the boss to appear and to spawn somewhere within the domain. And then you bind it with the hyper skill, with the Bigfoot. Yeah. Which has some delay, so that can be tricky. If you miss it, you throw the other one out, but always try to hit it with the Bigfoot because it's the longest duration. And then you call out that it's bound, and then everyone goes ham. Sometimes bosses teleport, and they can teleport out of the domain, or they can be slightly out of it. Like, it's not an exact science, but that's like the main thing you want to do. And then after it's bound, you want to put the little barrier, the one that gives extra damage and boss damage, and put that on where most of the people are standing already, where they are attacking, and just put that on them. So they can optimize damage as well. That's like your role as the support, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. A quick question about binds. Actually, how long between binds can I bind again?
So the cooldown is 2 minutes from the end of one bind to the start of the next one.
Okay.
Is it 2 minutes? No, wait. It might be 90 seconds. But it's like the binds are not 100% synchronized, but typically people just use the foot bind whenever it's back up. And then you use a domain and to do what we just talked about, like every other bind. And then the other one is just like just a regular bind. Then you just throw the foot down and you do the barrier, and that's it. And then you hold the domain until the next time. So the domain technically comes up every 1.8 binds or something. Like, it's a little bit faster than 2, but it's best to always synchronize it with a bind so that everyone can confirm as much of their damage during the domain as possible during the long-term binds as well. I think it's 90 seconds. If you try to bind it faster, on the bottom left you'll see resist over the boss that he resisted the bind, and you'll see on the bottom left how many seconds left until you can actually bind it again. Okay. If you have that message up, it'll be like a yellow message if I'm not mistaken. So.
Thank you.
So I'm not 100% on the Vanquisher's Charm in your second trio, because I think you really only use it to because that's Vanquisher's Charm, right? The hurricane type skill that you just hold up and it just kind of like does continuous damage.
When watching bossing videos, I don't really see anyone using it.
Yeah, it's really just, well, it used to be like the main attack thing, but when they reworked Kanna, it just became shit. So now it's only good for charging domain, really. So I wouldn't put this in the second trio. I would put I mean, I'd probably put Exorcist Charm in there.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I think what some people would go for, I think nobody does Nine-Tailed Fury, I think. And I think Vanquisher Charm, I think people kind of skip that one, and I think people kind of, whatever they feel like, use a combination of Yosuzumi, Shikigami Doppelganger, Kishin Shokan, and Exorcist Charm. Those 4, they pick like 3 of those and use those, I think.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 skills, 2, 14. That could be a total of 5 nodes with like 1 spare. Right? So what some people could do is get 5 boost nodes, max the first 2 of Trio, the first 3 of like Trio 1, max those, and then get the Yosuzumi, Shikigami, Doppelganger, Kishin Shokan, Exorcist Charm, those all twice as well, and then get like 1 Vanquisher Charm or something. And then use 5 total boost nodes. I could see something like that.
See so when we're referring to trios here, we have for instance the first one is hunting, Tengu, and then boss.
Mm-hmm.
Am I looking for 3 different nodes with all of those 3 on it?
So the node is always called after the first skill on it.
Correct,
And
yes.
that's the ones that you will use to level them up with. So one node can go up to level 25, and every skill can be boosted up to 50 levels. So every one skill wants to be in 2 different nodes to be maxed out if those individual nodes are all maxed out. So the ideal situation would be 2 nodes that have those 3 skills in any order, as long as the first skill is not the same between the 2 nodes. Because you can't equip the same one. So if you have one that's Shikigami Hunting and then Tengu Strike or Boss in whichever order, and then any other node that starts with either Tengu Strike or Ghost Yakuza Boss that has the same 3, and then the second and the third one again in any order, then you're maxing out eventually those, and then that's settled, and you can cross those 3 skills off the list, and you can start looking for the other ones, basically.
Okay.
That all make sense?
Yes, perfect sense.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And then eventually, of course, you can level up your node slots by up to 5, and that'll make the individual node go up to 30, and then the total will go up to from 50 up to 60. But that's just like overcapping. But I think you're leveling up your node slots, right?
I haven't yet. Should I be doing that now?
Yeah, you can reset that at any time for like a very small cost. So if you enter your matrix on the right side, you'll see like matrix points. You get 1 for every level up past 200.
Yes.
And then you click level up. I think you click just like level up slots, I think. And then you can just start with the first one on the top left and just level it up to 5 and then go to the next one. Just level them up one at a time. And then if you put your boost node, even though it's level 1 in there, it'll go up to level 6. And instead of 2% final damage, they give you 12%. So you're basically just immediately gaining 10% final damage.
Great.
On those attacking skills if you have the node in there. So it's kind of to give you some free early levels, basically.
Free damage, basically, right?
Yep. Okay, so that takes care of your question about the nodes, or do you still have any questions around how to go about that?
I think I'm happy with nodes now. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let me go back to this real quick. Yeah. So, okay. You have your... Wait, let me go through the gear thing. You have your codex done?
Yes. But that's getting removed, right? Oh, we think it's possible that it's getting removed.
Yeah, the set bonus for that is probably getting removed on the 22nd.
That sucks.
So our question is, like, how far can you get near... near being able to do those bosses before that time, because that's like less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So here's the question: like, your ID is low, but it's normal because Kannas have very low ID now. And to which extent do you want to shift your focus into the ID if your main purpose as the Kanna is going to be supporting and not being the damage dealer anyway? That's kind of the question. But if you're running with your friend who's completely new, then you're gonna have to do a big chunk of the damage.
Yeah. So one player is an arc.
Mm-hmm.
One player's a battle mage, and then you get me as Kanna.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I would assume I would be in the middle of the damage dealing range at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, depending on how far they are already in there. Yeah.
I think arc is around 500k. damage at the moment. So I wouldn't say. I would give us a month until we're probably ready to start doing practice runs.
Yeah, so that puts me a little bit in a weird spot because I don't know exactly what the buffs for the familiars are going to be yet, right? We don't have any real details on that. So it's possible that the familiars give you access to a bunch of IED and maybe some boss damage, and that with that you don't have to work on your fundamentals or other fundamentals too much, but it's also possible that they don't give you access to that or very minimal access to that, where that doesn't become valuable and that you have to work very hard on other stuff instead. So I guess I'll have to go pretty general, but once we know more about the familiar stuff, of course I'll update on that and I'll make videos on that, and try to include that in all the guides to make it relevant.
I would to not put yourself in a predicament. I would say if you could tailor the advice as if I was going to join a random group for like soon, yeah. But just general for you and for the people who watch, and to know that the advice is like what makes sense now. But I am aware that things are changing. But as long as I don't know the numbers, like I could do some guessing. It's probably not going to be like TMS where we just gain like 80% IED from familiars or something. That's probably not going to happen. Or like the 60% final damage buffs or something. It's probably not going to be that big. But who knows, right? We can get 3 familiars. They all have 2 lines of potential. Is it going to be like Nebulites? Is it going to be way worse, way better? Not sure, but it's something to keep in mind. So we're looking specifically for the CRA bosses and what you need to do for those. So for ignore defense, I think I have that. So we're aiming for party CRA, which is like the middle of the mid game, kind of. Middle, funding wise, not level wise. That's what you're aiming for. So it would be cool for main stat if we could get up to like 9 to 10k would be nice. You're at around 5 to 2. Critical rate would be nice. Function ID boss, let's see right there. 77, 72, 32. 242. That seems pretty decent. Functional ID, that's something for sure. Let's look at Legion and stuff like that real quick, because you have been working on that. Alright, Phantom level 1. You got the Arc. What do you have on the to-do list for Legion at the moment? The duelists.
Like, which ones are you going to be leveling now?
It was my first plan of action was Phantom to 120. It's currently around 90. Then I have a marksman that I was going to get marksman, Pathfinder, and then another archer for the extra crit rate.
Are you doing the bonking and the pillow and everything on those characters?
You have to do 140 for that, right?
141 for bonk, and then pillow is I think 101 and above. I think.
So I can do the pillow, right?
Yeah, you could do pillow at low level for like insane levels. I think it's like 2.5 levels per full bar. I think at pretty low level, and that can definitely help you to get up to 141. And then once you have that, then you can start bonking.
Is it so? My plan was just to get them to 120 for the link skill, but should I just be aiming for 140 for Legion while I'm at it?
Yeah, if you're trying to get a lot, you're still working on the early Legion. A bunch of 120s is probably going to be better for now. I'd say get them to 100, and then, here's what you do: 100, then pillow. Then Zakum, then Monster Park, and then keep pillowing it until it's 120, and then work on the next one with training.
Okay.
I think that'll be the easiest way to take advantage of the EXP, and then I guess just bonk. Do you have any? Let's see if I have any characters like already between 140 and something else. Yeah, like the Cannon
I
Master,
have,
you can bonk that one maybe.
yeah, Cannoneer, or the village to Cannoneer that point, right?
Yeah, unless the percentage chance for the bonking becomes like, you know, like 2% chance to gain more than 3 levels or something, then maybe switch to the Dark Knight, because it's like free Legion levels as well.
Okay. And is that still relevant after 140? Just a few levels.
Yeah, because you'll gain more ranks right now, and that'll just help you put all of your characters that you're making into the Legion. And then once you hit 2K, then you can your grid starts getting bigger, and you can start adding critical rate there as well, and boss damage and critical damage. So
perfect.
starting 2000, your grid gets 1 hex bigger, and then 3K again, 4K again, 5K again, 6K again, and then you have the full grid available.
Okay. And I assume the crit rate is relevant.
For now for you, yeah, because so if you don't get your critical rate to 100%, then your critical damage is basically not always being applied. So if you have 50% critical rate, then effectively your critical damage is only like 12.5, because it's only applying half the time, right? So
Yes.
And critical damage is a very powerful source of increasing your damage. So the higher your critical rate is, the more value you get out of your critical damage, and especially if you have critical damage points in hyperstat as well, those points are basically only half value points as long as your critical rate isn't all up there.
Okay.
Do you ever run into any mana problems, by the way? Because
as Kanna?
Yeah. Because you don't have any points in it in your hyperstat, right? Typically people do put some points in there.
It's not been... It's been manageable. That's the best word to use.
I think for bossing it might be a little bit trickier, because you don't necessarily want to use that. You have that skill, right, that hurts you and then gives you mana back. When you're training, it's not that scary, but when you're bossing, it's pretty scary, because if you put yourself below kill threshold with the skill, then you could essentially suicide by relying on that.
Without using Vanquisher Karma and just using the main mobbing skill for the main attack, I don't.
Yeah, because that doesn't consume any, right? That doesn't consume mana.
Yeah, it's mainly again when you're using domain, you're using the ice bitch, and then you're putting down another boss storm. Then at that point, then I think the mana could become a constraint. Maybe I've just not been bossing.
Yeah, because the barriers that you have down, the barriers that you put down decrease your mana regen. So the more of those you have out, I think as soon as you have like 3 of them out, I think your mana regen becomes 0. So you have to put them on the cracks, the mana veins, I think they're called, right? If you put them on there, then the barrier gets bigger, and it also counts as a vein, as in giving you mana regen. So then you kind of nullify that. But as you put more barriers up to help your team survive and to help your team do damage, your mana upkeep is going to be harder. So definitely then you want to add some hyperstat points into mana at that point.
Okay, so okay, that makes sense. I didn't realize I've only been using the boss damage. I've not felt the need for the stance one as of yet, but I suppose.
Yeah, but all the bosses up to now haven't been
hard.
Haven't been extremely challenging yet, right? Because they've mainly old content, and you're like new content character in an old content game, and you're kind of rolling over it. And if you can't do it, you try it again 5 levels later, and then it's easy. But with CRA, it's really an obstacle where you need to kind of utilize what you've got. Yeah.
So what hyperstat would that be? Would that be the TF DF mana?
Yeah. I think you can only get it up to level 5, so it's not even that many points. But it gives you, I think, 10 per level, so you go up to 150, and that'll give you quite a bit more freedom to roll around with your mana. I think you can only get it over level 5 once you get past 5th job, and then I think up to 10 max, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, Diamond, but the game is down, so we can't really do that right now. Okay. You have 4% in ignore defense, 7 in damage, 8 in buff damage, 5 in critical rate, 9 in critical rate, 6 in intellect. You have any in magic attack as well, or?
Do I have any in
attack, magic attack in hyperstat?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't think so. I may have.
Because you do have 6 in intellect, and typically just flat intellect isn't that good for hyperstats.
Okay.
Because it doesn't get multiplied by your percentages. So
Yes.
you do add into it if you have some leftover points. But since ignore defense is more something that we're looking into, and also probably needing more money for the more mana for the bossing, those intellect points are definitely gonna have to make way for now. Yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, you might critical damage probably isn't too valuable here either yet for you, right? Because of the critical rate still being low anyway.
Yes.
Might be more important to go harder on the critical rate and the ignore defense to make sure that your damage comes through in the first place without magnifying it. You know, if you really want to be like 100% sure that everything is as good as it can possibly be, you have to get like a giant calculator through all of your stats in there, and then see what rolls out, what the calculator says, like this is the best for you.
Yes.
But obviously, technically, as soon as you change one thing, then the optimal situation changes again. So that's kind of unworkable for quite a while. So we're going off of like intuition, I guess, at this point. So the main thing is critical rate, ignore defense, and then if you're going to be bossing, then the boss damage ends up being a little bit more important than damage. So kind of how you have it, like 7-8, because regular damage only always applies boss damage only to bosses, but is a higher percentage. Yeah, we're probably gonna get rid of the critical damage points, increase ignore defense, get rid of the intellect, increase the mana, and then see where that leaves you. If you have a little bit of points left, you throw those into weapon and magic attack, but because that does get multiplied by your percentage magic attack, so that's why it has slightly higher value there.
Okay.
You have 11 high percent points, so that might go up a little bit. But yeah, the ignore defense is tricky. You're basically going to be looking for one line of ignore defense at least. Another thing that's going to give you ignore defense is the Explorer Mage Link skill that you can also stack in the same way as you can with the Adventure Archers.
Okay.
And the Luminous Link skill that gives you some IED as well.
I had a question about the Luminous. So I have had difficulty training my marksman.
Yes.
It seems very slow.
Yes, marksman is one of the worst ones, yeah.
So I was planning on mega burning a marksman and then just training Luminous as normal.
Yeah, we do. Well, we have 2 mega burnings coming, right?
Is it 2?
Yeah, so as we looked at in the patch notes, there is going to be a shop for the event. So there's just the regular mega burning, and then there's a shop. God damn it, where is it? Shop. Bishop, no. Cash shop, no. Coin shop, and then the tier 2? No, tier 3? Was it tier 3? The tier 4? Wait, where the fuck was it? Tier 5? No. Guys, where was it? Help her brother out.
They've removed it.
No. KMS had it. We must get it. 3. Wasn't it here? Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Well, isn't it 500? Here it is. In the 2-star rank shop, we have a mega burning booster for 500 coins, which allows you to trade it to another character and make them into a mega burning character, even if it's already an existing character. So you could use that on your marksman that's already level 70 and turn him into burning at 70 and then mega burn the levels out.
Okay.
So you can make whatever other character is going to be the next worst one to train and make that as the regular burning character.
Okay. Is Luminous considered a hard character to level?
It was when it was still as clunky, but I've heard from a lot of people that it's a lot better now because they reduced all of the action delay on the skills with the latest patch. So I wouldn't consider that one in the list. You could check classes and then look at the low leveling speed for early game. And see which ones are pretty low there. You already have the Mercedes, right? You have the Phantom.
Yeah.
Marksman, you have that one. Dark Knight, you have that one. You don't have a jet yet, right?
Correct.
Mega Burn the jet. It's easy.
Okay.
Yep. Because that's going to give you critical damage in your Legion. And going to give you access to a Link skill as well that will be not directly useful now, but it will get useful later once you have money to throw at it.
Okay.
And that's another thing, right? The critical damage. So that's Jet, Shade, and Hayato. Those three all give you critical damage. But again, that's mainly useful once you have your critical rate in order first. So we're going to focus on the critical rate. But once you have that in order, then the critical damage is just free extra damage.
Okay.
Because right now your critical rate is at 56. And you don't have decent sharp eyes, right?
Correct.
Okay, you could get one more in critical rate, maybe. That would be 2 extra, 58. Decent sharp eyes, 68. Phantom, 5. 3, 7, 12, 80. You don't have a beast tamer, right? You can't make one?
Correct.
Less than ideal. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I get 3 more from Marksman and Night Lord from Legion.
True. 9, 10, 11. We'll get pretty close. Because I don't think we can rely on your inner ability for that yet.
Okay.
Because that's going to be too early to start working on that. And you only have 300,000 honor experience. It's not going to be worth the money yet. Eventually it will be. And then basically once you get the critical rate in your inner ability, then you'll just switch out something like the Phantom Link instead so that you can free that one up for more damage than you would get from the line of inner ability, basically. It's like the idea. Okay, but we'll keep an eye on critical rate. Yeah, for IED, eventually you're just going to want to get one line of IED and magic attack on your emblem. That's like a 40% IED line, and then like 40% IED, 9% magic attack, 9% magic attack on legendary on your emblem. That's probably what you want to end up with, just to give yourself a huge boost on that IED, because and then adding the Mage Explorer and the Lumi Link.
Okay. I assume superior Golot's equipment should be a near focus with the rework as well.
Yeah, because that's where the rest of the ignore enemy defense is going to come from. Yeah. So hopefully, well, we're going to take a close eye on the numbers, of course, but hopefully, since you're able to purchase, do you have coins saved up, or?
I purchased a superior ring before it went down.
So you're low on coins right now?
Correct.
We'll have to see how many coins they drop, what the prices in the shop are, but seeing that all 4 items will be purchasable now instead of just the 2, that should lower the RNG to getting to the point where you can have the full set active. So hopefully that should make that less of a headache, but it might mean that you have to more diligently clear for a short duration, but at least be guaranteed the equips at the end of that is what I'm assuming the rework is going to be about. But no carries, so you're gonna have to be working towards being able to solo Helix soon.
Okay.
So for that, we're gonna have to focus on your burst damage, because clearing the gem is gonna be the hardest part. And that probably means leveling up your boost nodes and having your domain be strong, right? Because that's gonna give you the burst that you need.
Yes.
So training a lot and getting a lot of nodes. You have your spider familiar?
I do not.
Number 1 of everything.
That's number 1.
Yeah, getting 3 spider familiars, stack those up. You need to increase your drop rate at all times. All of your events, all of your things that you need to get drops from will all be faster. We don't know if they're going to stay in the game after the rework. And you'll get more nodes and more bags of money. And yeah, that's the most important thing, yeah.
How long does triple spider familiar last for?
So it depends on the familiars lose vitality as they attack. So the more they attack, the faster they run out. spider in itself usually doesn't attack very quickly. I usually can do a 2-hour session with a triple spider without it running out. As a Kanna, you're probably going to be teleporting around a lot, so the spider doesn't have much time to like stand still and look for targets. So I would assume that you could do a 2-hour session as a Kanna as well with a spider, with the triple spider.
Okay. And then are you refreshing after each of those 2-hour sessions?
Yeah, so either by CCing or just going into cash up real quick, and then that should replenish the marbles. Yeah.
So you don't have to go get more familiars.
No. The familiars refresh as you CC, or if they get force removed, like if you go into Ardent Mill right now, or if you go into like a special cutscene where they get force removed, then you have to wait until all of their vitality passively recharges. But if you CC, then it automatically fully recharges, and going into the cash up counts as CCing.
I was under the assumption that I'd have to go back and farm another 3 cards.
Yeah, I kind of thought in the beginning that that's how familiars would work as well. Like you just have a marble, and if it's finished, then you have to recharge it with a new familiar. But it doesn't work like that, no.
Okay.
So it has its pros and cons compared to a system like that. Bedard, they said they're removing the familiar effects. They said they're changing the effects of familiars for cards that have not yet been put into the codex. If you want to guarantee yourself the effect of the familiar right now, you have to commit them to the codex before the change, and those will always stay in the codex and will keep their effects as they are in the codex, is what they said.
And when is that update coming out? Do you know?
The 22nd of April.
20. So we got 13 days.
Yep. The first familiar will probably take you like between 30 minutes and like 45 minutes to find, and then once you have one, you should find one like every 5 to 10 minutes, because it'll increase your drop rate by a lot. But the first one will be the slowest, obviously. But then once you have the first one, you use it, and then with it, you can find the other ones faster.
It's the nice thing about Kanna, these sort of things are much easier.
Yeah, for sure. You just put Kishin on the... Because there's a little top platform that's like annoying, but you just put Kishin up there, and then you put the Ghost Yaksha just cordons off one part of the map, and you just attack the other one, and then you just resummon it when it runs out, and then you run to the other side. It's pretty simple, yeah. Cover the entire map with summons. Okay, so yes, that'll help you get more nodes, and that'll help you level up your boost nodes. Get your tri nodes first, of course, then level up your boost nodes, and also hopefully get a domain every now and then. And you know how it works with disassembling and all of that stuff.
Yes, I think I watched the video about it. They have a general idea.
Yeah, and if you have special nodes, best to not forget disassembling those, because they run out in a week. So make sure you disassemble those immediately, and that gives you 40,
when you're referring
shards?
to boost node, that is the skill nodes, and then the skill node,
You have boost, skill, and special. So boost are the gray ones, skill are the blue ones, and special are the purple ones.
And skill is like decent, sharp eyes, that sort of stuff. Okay.
Your class skills, your decent skills, your Urda skills, those are all blue, like very, very solidly blue. And then the other ones are kind of like grayish, transparent. Those are considered boost nodes because they boost existing skills rather than give you access to new skills. Those are skill nodes, give you access to a skill that you didn't have before.
Perfect. Got it.
Okay. Yeah, so I think accessing a lot of small sources of damage through the link skills is going to help you a lot as well, especially with the utility with things like critical rate, and getting all of those up to 120 for the level 2 links. That's definitely going to help you a lot. One of the it's really annoying because one of the important ones for you is Beast Tamer, because it gives you percentage HP, which gives you damage, it gives you boss damage, and it gives you critical rate, and then you don't have access to it. It's really annoying.
It's every few months though, right?
Hopefully it comes back this summer. Yeah,
that's fine. Maple Story is a long game.
Yep, it is. Once you have that one, that's a very solid solid one. You even get some damage from like a Kaiser, for example, because it gives 20% HP, but it's not like at level 210, of course. But it's of course not one of the super urgent ones, but it does give you some damage. And like I see you don't have like Demon Avenger, for example. That's like easy percentage damage, for example, for range as well. And it's very easy to train. It's very straightforward, pretty simple. If you're going to be training more, Evan and Aaron are pretty good.
Yes.
For extra experience. I don't know where you are with those two.
I've not started them.
Okay.
They are on my radar.
Yeah, on your radar. You know about the
So-
exclamation mark links, right? Where all of the
Yes.
stats are? Yeah, okay. So you can always look up whatever is important and then do that one next. Okay, let me just grasp back to this. Transposing is not necessary yet. You know how to go about your ability, but you should be saving that for now, not going too crazy. IED. Yeah, I guess, do we have to go into the difference between functional and visual IED, or do you know about that?
I don't.
You don't know about that? Okay. So if you open up your stat window, you see a number, and that is the number that is always going to be effective for every skill that you use. But some skills can have their own source of IED in it.
Yes.
And then also sometimes you can debuff a boss, which makes your skill window stat not go up, but your effective IED when you hit something go up because it's debuffed, right?
Yes.
So therefore it's good to know that whatever you see in your stat window isn't actually what's going to be happening. So in order to calculate what your effective IED is or your functional IED is, you can go off of what your screen says. Like in the beginning you kind of can, because there's not going to be much extra sources outside, but after a while that number just isn't correct anymore. So if you want to know the correct number, you can check exclamation mark IED in the chat. That'll link you to a calculator, and then basically you put all of the individual sources you have in there, and that will calculate what your functional IED is when you're hitting the boss. So you're training with an arc, bossing with an arc. So arc will be able to give you 20% IED during your burst, and 20% boss damage, which is nice. And the other one was a battle mage, right?
Yeah.
What did those guys give? I guess during your burst they can give you all of their auras, but I'm not sure how big those are. That should be interesting though, because if you put up your barrier and the battle mage puts up their barrier, the three of you might be able to tank a queen breath. You guys probably will be. That's interesting. But then you have to make sure that your arc friend doesn't do like an iframe, because then he gets excluded from the damage, and then you guys tank it with 2, and then you guys get fucked.
Is arc supposed to have like a crazy low amount of HP?
Early on is pretty squishy, yeah.
Yeah, he said he's like 205 or like 12 or 18k HP.
Yeah, it doesn't start off particularly high, no. But strength also gives defense, so you do get tankier just as you get stronger.
Makes sense.
And I think even my arc right now at level 260, I think has about 30k HP. But with all of my buffs on and all of my stuff going on, I think it goes up to like 50 or 60, just because there's like hidden sources of damage. But yeah, after a while, once you get into Arcane River and anything, once you have the arcane power, everything hits you for only 1 damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter anymore after a while. It does feel weird though, going back to a lower level area that's not an arcane area, as the arc and actually like taking serious damage from things and actually seeing your HP going down. It feels really weird because like, you guys are so far beneath me. Why are you hitting me? Why is this hurting me?
Yeah.
But yeah, so once you are getting ready and closer to the boss, and once you know more about like the familiars, then you can also start calculating in, right, because the arc skill has a 1 minute uptime with a 2 minute cooldown. So during every bind, the arc should be buffing the whole party with that. So that gives you 20 weapon and magic attack, 30% boss, 20% IED, and 1 rank of attack speed, but that doesn't really matter. Oh, by the way, you guys are going to be giving each other a bunch of attack speed, because the battle mage can give a rank, the arc can give a rank, and you can give, I think, 2 ranks if your domain is maxed. So if you take like somebody along, like a cannoneer, they don't have to even use like weapon booster, I think, to be able to cap attack speed. That's pretty funny, actually. You guys are like the perfect attack rank carry party with between the 3 of you. All you need is like an Evan that can also give a rank of attack speed. It's like, it's pretty funny. Like a slow ass cannoneer can just like machine gun out cannonballs. Yeah, so once you get closer, to use the calculator to look at what the number is really, and then like the closer you get to 90 on your functional, the better.
Okay.
90 will be the ultimate goal for Vellum. For the other 3, you can be a little bit below 90 and still do like decent part of your damage. So the Luminous Link you're going to be working on. Hyperstat is eventually going to get there once you level a little bit more. So the Codex is there now, but it's probably going to change. Arcane Weapon is not going to be there for you. CRA Hat and top and bottom are also not going to be there. Ambition, are you leveling that by doing bosses?
I'm doing bosses every day.
Okay, so that'll level eventually. Beast Tamer card is not going to be there yet. Blaster gives a little bit of IED. That's probably maybe on your list, but maybe not. 5% IED isn't huge. If you take that one away, yeah, that's like 0.5% IED. Yeah, and then Superior Gollux, that's something to work on. Monster Park Medal, are you working on that?
I wasn't aware of the Monster Park medal beforehand.
Okay, but wait, you know about it now, or?
Is that just something you can buy with coins, I assume?
So if you can do up to 7 runs a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you clear on a singular day a total of 77 times, then you get the special medal for that day. And that medal gives you the same stats, but the hidden effect of 10% IED on top of it.
So
and
you can only use it once every 77 runs?
No. And then if you have it active, so let's say you run, you should run every day 7 times. And then Monday, after like X amount of weeks, like at least 11 weeks, right? Because 7 a day, 77 total. But maybe you miss a few days, whatever. So maybe after like 12 or 13 weeks, you have cleared on Mondays, on all the Mondays together, a total of 77 times. Then you can claim that medal. And then whenever you wear that medal, you just get the bonus stats. But if it's a Monday, then you get the extra bonus 10% IED. And if it's a Tuesday, you just get the regular stats and you don't get that bonus. So every Monday, the bonus 10% ID will be added as an effect if you're wearing it on that day. And then the idea is to get that.
How would I know if I've done it 77 times?
There's a counter. If you go to Monster Park, you check under quests and under in progress, under special content, there keeps a counter there.
So realistically, use it on a Sunday.
What do you say?
I'm running 7 times on a Sunday for 2 times coupons. So realistically, it's going to be on a Sunday before any other day.
Yeah, your Sunday's probably going to be, yeah. So if you want to do the runs on a Sunday, then you'll be done faster. And eventually people go for the 77. If you get all 7 of the medals for every single day, then you get the 7-day Monster Parker medal. And then that one is just 10% ID always. And then you just wear that one and you could throw all the other ones away.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the idea behind that. So this is including Legion 40% IED, so that's big.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have that yet.
That means having 6k Legion and filling up your Legion grid.
That's not a short-term goal.
That's pretty. So yeah, that takes you to like 89.3. Like without that, you're like at 82. So that's a pretty big difference. And it's enhancement nodes for 20%. So that's typically when you get to level 40? Yeah, you get to level 40 on the boost node in total. Then you get an extra effect of 20% IED for those skills that are level 40. So eventually you'll get that on all of your... So, it's not in your stat window, but since it applies to every skill all the time, you have to count it as if you always have it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So you can add like the arc buff of 20%. Because you're going to have that always during all of your bursts. Your arc is going to buff you with that. And you're mainly looking for the burst damage to see what's relevant. It's going to have 50% uptime, but it's 50% uptime, but it's always up during the burst and down during the non-burst. So it's better than 50% uptime, right? It has more value than half because it's there for the important stuff and not for the unimportant stuff. I don't know how much your battle mage gives you. You might want to check with each other to see like what kind of buffs do you give exactly to have them like read into their skills a little bit. Because if you're trying to min-max with such a small group, it's important to know what you can rely on from each other.
Okay.
Oh, Lynette says 20%. Is that from the what is that, like the blue aura or something? The yellow one gives attack speed. The red one drains mana. The dark one just gives damage. Weak aura, is that the blue one? The pink one. Weakening aura. Is it called weak aura? The pink one. Dark. Yeah, weakening aura. Oh yeah, it's like pinkish. Oh yeah, 20% enemy defense requires 2 seconds to apply, but will be in effect 15 seconds after the aura deactivation. Now, what is the uptime on the 5th job skill that makes it so that they can share all their buffs? Because Master of Death. Aura Scythe. Is this like a 2-minute cooldown? Oh, this is a 2.5-minute cooldown. So this is going to be up every domain, but not every big bind.
Okay.
Unless you say, like, we need this. So we're going to make sure that we delay every bind by an extra, like, 30 seconds. To make sure that we have Aura Scythe for every buff. That's, like, something you can talk about going into. That might be worth to slow down a little bit. To make sure that you always have the big Aura Scythe up, because the Battle Mage's damage will go up a lot, and he'll be able to buff you guys more.
Okay.
Yeah, because Battle Mage has like a bunch of auras, and when you activate it, all of your auras activate at the same time, so you'll buff everyone by a lot. And I think it'll also help the arc, because we have like a 240-second cooldown, so that means that every 3, so the first one, the second one, and then the third one, and then you'll have Infinity Spell back for extra bullet damage. I think that'll be a good idea, but yeah, you have to like put all your cooldowns together and see where you're.
So is that giving all party members 50% crit rate and 50% defense ignore?
Oh no, that's the for 1 minute it grants all the aura effects, and then the regular blow attacks of the battle mage become scythes instead, and those attacks hit 10 enemies and do this damage and have all of that. That's like the attacks of the battle mage itself while that's on. The auras are but there are a bunch of auras, right? There's the there's the dark one, the weakening one, there's a blue one, a yellow one. 1, 2, 3, draining one, and then the hasty one. Yeah. So everyone will get what is this? 20% damage and 20% ignore defense. And what is this? 30% abnormal status resistance, 30% elemental resistance. Oh no, wait, that's the other one. 15% damage absorption and 20% abnormal status resistance. That one's not super impressive. This one should give lifesteal, I think. 1% of damage dealt recovers your HP. Cannot recover again for 5 seconds after recovery takes place. Damage dealt by battle mage also recovers the party members within the range of draining aura. And then the hasty one gives you a rank of... Wow, it gives you plus 10 speed. 1 attack speed level. Okay, so it's not too crazy. That's actually worse than the arc hyper. It's kind of disappointing. But I mean, the combination of the two should be nice, because then we add another BAM buff. So yeah, so if you have the Sunday quickly and you make sure you do your runs on the test runs on Sunday and everything, that'll help you as well. Ambition, yeah, so Superior Golic is going to be very important if there are other sources of ID. But yeah, so if you add like 1 line of on your emblem, if you can get that to Legendary and add 1 line of 40, then that's going to get you there. And then, you know, some other stuff not being ready yet isn't going to be too bad.
Okay.
Oh yeah, what is it like?
So is my perfect emblem 2 lines of magic attack and 1 IED at that point then?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Do I think Battle Mage is better than Bishop? No. Bishop gives way more support and survivability with the shell. That's more reliable than the Battle Mage shell, I would say. There's a few scenarios where you might want to battle mage over a bishop, but that's like maybe like in hard lucid or something. Because you saw some crazy videos with like 2 battle mages in hard lucid putting down the shells, and then you can just tank the lasers on the ground and you don't even die to that. But okay.
He just loves battle mage, which is unfortunate.
I mean, it's better to play something that you like than to like be forced into something that you hate. He'll get further than he would with other classes just because he likes it.
Yeah.
And it has utility, so it's pretty solid though, because Arc is like really good bursts, but also has that supportive capability. Battle Mage is more directed towards survivability and supportability, and you're like very high support. So your guys' damage won't be insane, but the Arc is gonna have to like do the brunt of the damage. But if you guys are like the solid foundation, you can just add like 3 glass cannons, and their survivability will be great because of you guys, and they will help balance out the damage that you need.
Okay.
So that's a very solid foundation to start from, because usually it's like kind of tricky to find those supports that are able to round out your party. But if you're starting there, you can just add pretty much whoever, and as long as they know what they're doing, they can get away with a lot more, so they can go a little bit crazier.
When it comes to finding a party, if I'm not wanting to be carried per se,
it's gonna feel like you're getting carried because you're never doing the most of the damage. But once you kind of realize how much damage you add to the party just with domain and with your barriers and with the length of your binds, once you see how much, if you really want to like, if you need to calculate it, then I guess go for that. But just the supportive capability of Kanna adds so much damage to the entire party.
Okay.
That
I assume people that are looking for I had to refer to as a struggle party.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyone who's looking for a struggle party, they're beyond the point of carrying people anyway.
Yeah, it'll depend on how many people are in there, right?
Okay.
If there's somebody who's like, well, I can't solo, but I can probably duo, and then 5 of those people join each other, then it's like a really fucking easy run. And then the 6th person there that's maybe pretty weak, who's kind of looking for a struggle party, will end up kind of getting carried. But if it's all people who are like, well, we can probably 4-man, and then you go 5-man, then it's like, that makes it a little bit easier, but it's still probably quite a struggle for everyone. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're like, well, I'm looking for a duo, then you wouldn't join like a 6-man, because then you're basically carrying it, right?
Okay.
Carrying more than your weight. As a Kanna, once your domain is pretty big, you'll be just putting everyone in the capability of doing the damage that they wouldn't be able to do without. Oh, we gotta do a poll here. Hang on. Should I become a VIP or not? Okay, let's see what the poll say. Yes or no? Create poll. Alright, see what the chat has to say. Rarok has a question for you guys. Should he become a VIP in the chat or not? Wow. Let's see what you guys say. He wants to know if he has to save 5 million points for that, or however many it is. Okay, so that settles all of the IED. That settles all of the critical rate stuff, because you have a general order already for your link skills and your legion, and which order you want to train them in. You know which ones to burn.
Yes.
Okay. So now we can just get specifically into equips. Functional ID. Transfer hammering, you know all about that?
I know how to transfer hammer. I don't know how to transfer hammer flame.
Oh, so if you transfer hammer, the flame of the target item always gets saved. So you lose the one of your source item.
Ah, okay, that makes perfect sense then.
The only way to transfer your flame along is via transposing.
Oh,
and that's specifically when it specifically transposing is in Sun Commercy, when you kind of do transfer hammering, but it's in a different UI and it's with a specific NPC, and you move then you move the stats from level 140 to 159 item into specifically a Sweetwater item.
It's the Meister earrings, right?
Yeah, so Meister earring into Sweetwater earrings, or the Dominator pendant into the Sweetwater pendant, or the Papulatus mark into the Sweetwater monocle. Those are like the or the Fafnir Katara into the Sweetwater Katara. Those are like the only things, for Reboot at least, where people really transpose, where you can get value out of it.
Okay.
And then it kind of works the same as Star Force, as Transfer Hammer, where it consumes 1 star, transfers the stars, but there it takes the flame of the source item and it overrides that of the target item. And instead of keeping your potential lines and rolling them down to epic, what Transfer Hammer does, instead it keeps your potential tier but rolls them as if a random cube was used on it.
Say that last part one more time, please.
So if you Transfer Hammer, your potential lines get saved as much as possible, but they get reduced to epic tier.
Okay,
if it's higher. And if you do transposing, your tier gets saved. So if it's legendary, it stays legendary, but the lines within get rolled.
Okay. Is that worthwhile for a Fafnir item?
So for Fafnir, no, that's really only for the Katara, because the Sweetwater Katara is endgame. So you want to maximize on the bonus stats you get from Transfer Hammering from 16 stars to 15, because then you can double up on the 16 star bonus when you Star Force it again. So for everything else, no, it's not really worth now. Some people go for like the Fafnir fan into the Sweetwater fan to give that to their Haku, and I think it's a lot more work than what you actually end up getting out of it.
My Sweetwater fan, I'm pretty happy with at the moment anyway.
Yeah. Got some good stuff. I mean, it's a very decent flame for Sweetwater, because their fans are typically, their flames are typically pretty bad. Oh yeah, that's the last thing. You know about like flame advantage, flame score, how you...
I've not looked at the specifics of flame score, but I have a general understanding of what's a high flame, what's a low flame.
Yeah, so the idea behind flame score is basically how can we translate whatever the stats from the flame are to how much main stat does this equal, so you can compare all the flames together on equal footing to know which one is better and which one is worse. That's the idea behind the flame score. And for Kanna, it's a bit complicated because of their passive and MP and HP given you. So MP gets turned into HP, then all of the HP gets multiplied by whatever your HP multiplier is, and then that gets translated into magic attack at a 1 to 700 rate, or 700 to 1 rate, however you want to see it. And then magic attack has like a value multiplier again to be roughly equivalent to a certain amount of main stats. So to get to the flame score of Kanna items, it can be quite an ordeal.
Okay.
I mean, I can go through the whole calculation if you want to, so that you have the ability to.
Is it on the spreadsheet roughly, or?
The numbers to aim for are. The calculation for Kanna isn't.
I think I'd be able to work that out. That'd be a fun exercise anyway.
So to work it out, you need to find an item that has bonus HP on it, but it doesn't in any way give you any percentage HP. So not in the set bonus and not in the potential at all. And you just
that doesn't contribute.
Well, so you have an equip that you can wear, right? Mm-hmm. And it has bonus HP on it, but no percentage HP either in the bonus stats or in the set bonus or in the potential whatsoever. No percentage HP. Then you unequip it and you re-equip it, and you see how much HP you actually gain on your character. And then you divide the bonus HP by the number that you actually get, and that's going to be your multiplier for everything. And then once you know that multiplier, you know how good of a flame actually is. Because for my Kanna Mule, for example, I have like 500% HP, so there an HP flame can actually be better than maybe a magic attack flame because of how big the multiplier is.
That's nice.
Yeah, so later when you're like min-maxing with flames, it all makes sense. MP gets thrown into the pile with HP, everything gets multiplied by your multiplier, that total gets divided by 700, that becomes your magic attack, and then the magic attack gets multiplied by roughly 3 to become your intellect equivalent, and then that goes into your flame score. Simple,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Super simple.
Yeah, super simple. It'll make sense. But oh yeah, and for weapons, it's a percentage of the base stats, right?
Yeah, like around 40. I was told on my guild about 40% of your magic attacks you're looking for.
Yes, if you check exclamation mark flames, and then you can look at the last link here, and then you look for magic attack increase on weapons. So normal weapons, so that's like Sweetwater and stuff, and then flame advantage weapons are Fafnir, Absolab, that kind of stuff. So you look for the level of the weapon, so you have a Sweetwater, that's level 160, and then the tiers give you this percentage. So if they said to look for around 40, like 44% is the tier 6, so that's probably the one they were looking for. 36.5% is the tier 5. But the Sweetwater only, since it's not flame advantage, will get flames tier range, normal equips between 1 and 4 with regular flames. So 4 is going to be like the highest to aim for. So then we go back down. Boop. So up, and then 4, so 26.62, shitty level, but like roughly a little bit more than a quarter, basically. That's how you're going to be looking at it. So a quarter of 210.
It's what, 52?
Is like 52. Yeah, so this is probably a tier 3 then. And what my guess would be, right? Because that's 18%, so it's a little bit less than a fifth. Yeah, so that's, so you probably have a tier 3. So that's like the second best, right?
Yeah.
So it's not
Well,
like
average.
super far off, yeah. Well, since they have, if you also look here, then you'll see that, the amount of lines that get changed, your number of lines is 1 through 4. So there's not even a guarantee that magic attack will be in there, let alone anything else that is even remotely useful. So the fact that there's some intellect in there and there's the second highest tier of magic attack probably makes it good enough for now, basically.
Yeah. I re-rolled it last night.
Oh yeah, no, that's pretty good. Because Sweetwater Flames are just not good, so this is probably as good as it's gonna get for now. So you have 1 line of magic attack, and you have all skills. And you've tried switching the fans around to see if there's like a difference in your stats, and this is the best setup of the two?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I get IED from the Sweetwater, right? That base without the set effect, so that shouldn't be a factor.
And the boss damage, yeah. Like the Fafnir gives 8% boss damage, but the Sweetwater gives 30, so that's quite a bit better. And it's 313 magic attack versus 165, so that's quite a difference, yeah. Some people do go for like a second Sweetwater fan, I know, for their Haku.
Okay.
Because of the Haku buff, right? The red buff, you know about that one?
No.
Okay, so Haku gives you a bunch of buffs when you transform him. And one of them is a magic attack buff that is equal to 40% of your total magic attack of your fan that he's wearing. So the total fan magic attack gets transferred on a like 4-to-10 ratio.
Oh, so I do have other Sweetwater fans, so I should be using that.
Yeah. So what you could do is just transfer hammer the one you have now into it, right? It'll get downgraded back to epic, but it should come out with, I think it'll come out with 6% intellect and 6% magic attack on epic, so that's not even necessarily that much worse. But it'll probably gain you a bunch of magic attack, which will look like a downgrade because it doesn't directly give you the magic attack when you equip it. But the buff that you see on the top right when you have Haku transformed, there's going to be a red buff there with like a fox face on it. If you hover over that, you'll see how much magic attack that gives, and that number should go up by quite a bit. Yeah, so that's why the Star Force and the flame of your Haku fan does matter, not directly, but indirectly through that skill that transforms it into the magic attack buff for you.
Yeah, and I'm going to be losing the unique potential anyway, so it doesn't matter.
What do you mean?
So when I go to Fafnir, my plan was to use my Fafnir as my main, and then the Sweetwater that I currently have as my Haku fan. So I'd be losing. I wanted to maximize having the unique potential on the Haku fan, but that's not really relevant at this point anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and then you would probably you would switch around. And you would transfer hammer the Haku fan into your Pencilier main fan, right? And then it'll go down to Epic there, yeah. So it'll come down to pretty much the same.
Yeah. I read somewhere that the int isn't actually relevant on the Haku fan because it only reads magic attack. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the potential, percentage magic attack and percentage intellect, those apply as actual stats. Anything else is like grayed out and doesn't give you anything.
Ah, okay. So I do get that the int.
You do get the intellect, yeah, the intellect and the magic attack. And if you have all stat, then it does give you the intellect portion of that. So if you have 6% all stat, it gives you 6% intellect, just not anything else. No luck and no strength and dex. Yeah.
Fab.
Well, yeah. So if you want to transfer hammer, this is 140, of course, into 160. So you could.
I have a Commercy fan for that.
Perfect. Just remember to give it 1 extra star then, right? Like 11 to 10, and then back to. I guess it doesn't matter because you can't go down anymore. It's just like an old habit because you used to be able to, if you failed below 10, you would go down 1 star, and then it could get really annoying. But you don't really drop, so it's not super important at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. All right, so the emblem, that's going to be the main. Yeah, like getting a line of ID and some magic attack on there, that's going to really help you lay your foundation to be able to boss and get your damage actually to go through to the bosses. And it's yeah, I mean you have 9% magic attack on it, so it is nice, but like saving up money to like go big on this one is like your guarantee damage increase because this emblem stays with you forever, so it's also the best return on investment because it's infinite, yeah.
When I get paid from Maple Tour, I think I'll have 2 bill.
Okay.
And I don't know whether to wait for.
Hopefully GMT soon. We have a double maintenance time right now, but no double miracle time so far.
I suppose it would just be whether I want to do Root Abyss now or after, right? That's kind of my decision to make.
If you want to do what first?
Chaos Root Abyss before should I wait to upgrade it or upgrade it now? That's ultimately my decision at this point, right?
It's gonna help you do that damage to CRA. Their ID is quite necessary. Once you have some pieces of CRA, you will get a little bit more ID because they have like individual ID on them as well. Mm-hmm. And the idea is kind of that once you're able to kill the 3-door, the extra ID from the 3 equips will help you reach the ID you need to kill the last guy, to kill Vellum. Yeah. That's kind of the idea behind it. So that'll boost it a little bit. But like, because of how, you know how ID is calculated, right?
Yeah, we just done it, right?
Well, you know, like, because bigger chunks are like way more efficient than small chunks because it's multiplicative.
Ah, okay. Yes, I was roughly aware of that before.
Yeah, so basically if you add a source, all of the sources are calculated individually. And then if you add a source, you basically add that percentage, how big that source is, of how much you still need to reach 100%. So the closer you get to 100%, the
harder it is to get more.
The less efficient small chunks of ID are.
Okay.
Like if you're at 95% and you add 5%, then you add 5% of 5%, which is like minuscule as fuck number. But if you add one source of 40%, like let's say you're at 90%, you add 40% of the 10% you still need, so you add 4%, so you go from 90 to 94, which is still very significant. Yeah. So later on in the game, you want to go to less sources of ID, but bigger chunks. Of course, these little bits help, but you can't really rely on the little bits anymore because they will, you know, in the grand scheme of things, they won't do very much.
So the difference between the prime line of IED is rather significant.
Yes.
Legendary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for you, it'll be more significant to go for 40 and then 9-9 than to go for 12-9 and a 30% line, for example. Ideal, of course, would be if you hit some kind of double prime with a 40 and then 12-9 on magic attack. That would be ideal, of course. But yeah, double priming is... I mean, that's all like wishful thinking, but yeah, if you can hit that, that would be great.
So in reality, we're looking for a prime line of IED, then 2 non-prime lines of magic attack.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you get 12 and then a 40% line below that. You can also keep that first if you hit like 12% magic attack, 30% IED, and like 9% intellect or something, you know, depending on how much money you have. You could hold on to that for a while and then see how that works, and then kind of see whatever happens with the familiars and see if that maybe cancels out to be enough for example.
Sure.
And then if it doesn't, you can min-max it later and throw more money at it at a later date.
Okay.
Yeah, so the codex, that's probably changing there.
How much would you budget to get something to legendary?
For that, you
Budget
can
a project like that.
Yeah, so you can check exclamation mark cubing, and if you check the second link there, that has the estimated cost for tiering up for specific types of cubes. And this is off event. So you're looking for unique to legendary, so that's roughly 500 mil per item.
I remember this. This is an old spreadsheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So during DMT, it would be half, and then 20% off if you're using red cubes, and 25% off, on average if you're using black cubes. So during a DMT, the use black cubes to get from unique to legendary would be like 25% off, so like 180 or something. Instead of 480, so that's a big chunk. It's almost a third at that point.
And we're not including variance obviously here as well.
Check the poll. Oh yeah, I gotta check the poll, dude. 8 people said yes and 6 people said no. Wow, the people have spoken. The people say yes. Go for it, dude. Yeah, so with anything, you can roughly look at these numbers like, oh, I have to upgrade 12 items. Yeah, just bank all of this. And also it'll be good to visualize how much money is the DMT really saving me, right? Because if you're only looking for a few tier ups and you're like, oh, this is gonna save me like 500 mil, but I'm keeping like 10 bill like a honked like just keeping it in my inventory so that I hopefully can save half a bill when maybe the event comes around. Maybe waiting is actually silly, and maybe I should just go through with it first, and I'll probably make the money back because of the gains.
Yeah, I don't really see much meso game from farming these days. It's all coming from Tour and Ursus at this point.
Yeah, if that's where most of your money comes from, then there's no harm in waiting. I guess it'll depend on... Let me close some of these things here because I got way too many things open. We got this. We can close that. We can close that. We can have that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it'll depend on where your stuff comes from. Okay, so you're using 2, 4, 6, 7 set boss accessory. Yeah, go on.
I managed to pick up a 6 all-stat 30 int face accessory.
Oh, that is quite a bit better than this. Okay.
How should I just start working on that? This is potential and stuff. Just
discard this
it's
one.
It's unfortunate, but
it
is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is exactly. Because it's probably only a little bit worse than this one, and it doesn't even have potential yet, is what I'm guessing. So
yeah,
if you have 30 intellect, yeah, so this is like 9%, so you're trading in 30 int for 3%, but you don't even have potential yet. I see that one has 2 lines. You know how to get the third line, right?
Yeah, I just couldn't be asked at this.
Well, it's good that you didn't, because it's gonna get replaced anyway. So that's you save money there by waiting.
20 mil.
Yeah, exactly. So you do have 7 set bonus, so you're gonna lose that 10% IED there if you do switch to Gollux, but a chunk of 30 is obviously better.
Of course.
Okay, and then you're gonna Star Force that to 10. Are you doing stuff with Sun Commercy voyages and solo voyages there or not?
Prioritizing when I have time, yes. When I have time, no. I was focusing on Vanishing Journey, Ursus Tour, and coins at this point. So if I manage to do it, I manage to do it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah, there's enough stuff to do. So
yeah.
Are you saving your coins for anything in particular now? What are they going towards? Because I saw you have some event rings already, right?
Yes, my logic was for cubes, because it's a free way to get my rings to legendary. Was my logic.
Yeah, and those cubes are pretty cheap. They're like Meister cubes, right?
Yeah, they get high tier up rate, right?
Yeah, Well, not as high as black cubes, but they're the same as red cubes. Yeah.
I have got into an unfortunate situation that you'll see when you see the rings.
Okay. You rolled like 27% intellect on unique or something.
I rolled a 2-line. So
Okay. I mean, then you keep that for now and you focus on the ones that aren't 2-line, right?
exactly.
If you have some free flames, you can probably throw this on the eye accessory, because this one's...
That's what's happened, and that's why it's shit.
Okay, okay, that explains. That explains. Okay, well that's good that you're doing that. I got Reboot Cosmos. Oh yeah, this one is 15%. Well, that's nice. You just keep that and you just move on to the next one, right?
Yep.
Hi, throwing my Moolering, and I will ask my question in Discord.
All right, thank you, Moo. I'll look at that when I have time. All right, so the Reboot Ventral Ring, you're throwing those on there now to try to get it to unique and legendary.
That's why there's no one. Yeah.
Yep. Or do you get Master Crossman cubes a lot or not?
Every now and then.
Oh yeah, because those are pretty decent to go up to unique as well.
Yes, I found that. That's why my emblem's unique.
Ah, nice, nice. Placeholder ring. You have a clean superior ring. Oh, you're just using the solid for now. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the base stats of this of the Gollux rings, the higher tiers, isn't that much better. Like, it's only a little bit. It's not too crazy, but because it's higher level, once you start star forcing past 15, that's when the difference only starts coming in. So unless you're there, there's no point in really investing a lot of money and gaining like 10k range or something for a ring. That's good.
Especially because it's 12-star as well. So I thought that's good. I'm not going to get another 12-star ring anytime soon.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Diocitus, kind of in the same boat as the eye accessory, I guess. Only this flame is already quite a bit better, but it's not up there.
It took me 8 chaos kills to get a earring.
8, nice. Well, now you know how to kill him very well.
I'm happy to have what I have.
Yeah. There's other earrings from Hilla as well. They're like similar.
Okay.
They look a little bit different, and I think they give more or less defense, I think, but they fill the same slot. They're the Will-O-the-Wisps that you can see in the list there. Same level, same qualities. Okay, you're using the Horntail necklace for the set bonus for now, right? Yeah.
I've just not put on a chaos one. I don't know why. I realized that when I was taking the pictures that I could just throw a chaos one on.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I decided not to pot them at this moment since I was just saving for superior pendants.
Yeah, that's one thing I'd like to advertise as well, or to promote as well, is not to go too hard on getting every single thing you have to the best thing it can possibly be at that time. Because if the upgrade isn't functional, it can take money away from upgrading something else later that will be functional. And sometimes it's better to kind of gimp yourself into wearing something that's weaker than it can be, and then get used to how strong you're like you are at that point. And then once you make a big upgrade, you'll actually feel like an upgrade because you visibly get stronger, because the difference between the shit thing you had is way bigger. And that can give you more value out of like, yes, this was a good upgrade because I can actually see my damage go up. I can kill things more easily now. I think it gives you like the psychological boost of I'm going the right way type of thing.
I mean, if things start shouting out epic pot scrolls, sure, I'll throw them on. But at this point, they're relatively. Yeah,
you don't want to let those go to waste. That would be a shame. They're better than but it's like 50 defense or something, right, Lynette? 6% intellect on the belt. Hard Gollux before push. Yeah. The base stats on like a reinforced or a superior belt is crazy. That'll make your damage go up so much. The extra magic attack is nuts. All right, and the head is just 11 and 6. Yep. Overall. So for overalls, and so we're talking about hats, overalls, and perhaps weapons. Do you have any epic lying around in your inventory?
No.
If you do get any, make sure you keep those for transfer hammering into CRA, so you can immediately have the CRA epic without having to worry about tiering up.
Yes.
So specifically,
the overall won't go into the top though, right?
Yes, overall will go into top and into bottom. It goes into both.
Oh, okay. I was avoiding the overall thinking it was going to get replaced.
Yeah, so it goes into both. So if you have if you can get an epic hat, 2 epic overalls, and an epic weapon, and get it some Star Force, then once you get CRA, immediately transfer hammer in, boom, and you've got your start. So the Runes of Riches and then elite boss bonuses are the best place to get those epic. You know, when it starts raining down and everything, look for those armor and those swords and jump into those. It'll disproportionately give you epic and even a decent chance for unique as well.
Oh, okay.
And then once you have those lined up, yeah, it just saves you all of the cubes and all of the money you need for tiering up for CRA, and you'll have it done. You can instantly, bam. So that's easy pre-work that you can do slowly over time. Shoes, nice. Cape, yeah. And that's also giving you 10% ID there for the 5 cent for Pencilier, okay. So equipping the weapon, what would that give? Another 8% damage against normal monsters? Nah, it's not worth it. Fuck it. Okay, so most of your stuff there is epic. You've got 9% on the glove. Okay, that's all of that added up is a decent amount. The shoulder. Are you planning on going for the Princess No items?
I tried and I keep on bugging out with Hayato.
Bugging out?
So I got pissed off and left.
How is it bugging out?
Whenever I would double jump up, you know, the Hayato upswing, it would just take me back to character selection. And it happened about 8 times. So I gave up.
Okay. Yeah, I did it like 2 days ago, and that never happened to me. That's really weird. I've never heard of that.
So I was like, fuck this, man. I would just go for a Magnus shoulder at this point. 'Cause I don't need the ring anymore.
Oh, it's a known bug? Okay. That's really frustrating. Are you probably used to tapping up a lot on portals because of your EU ping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was up jumping a bunch as well because of that, and it triggers me every time, but at least I didn't DC from it. Okay. Apparently that's a known thing.
It didn't seem the upside to the shoulder would be much better than the Magnus shoulder if I'm using the boss set at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's like the combination because typically you do use the ring because the ring is pretty strong and high level, and then if you use the shoulder and the ring combination, then that will end up being a plus because eventually you do lose more and more items, especially when you move into Gollux from the boss accessory set, so the set bonus is already disappearing there anyway. And then if you can fill up the slot with the Hayato shoulder, which also gives a little bit higher stats than the Royal Black Metal shoulder, then you're taking like a negative and turning it into a positive, basically.
Okay.
That's like the idea behind it. But yeah, if that's a known bug, then I guess it would just, postpone that for a later date. And it only starts like coming into place anyway once you have the Gollux stuff and when you can switch between the two of them. What level is he? 208. No double drop after the patch, no Lucid Nightmare. The next event is the early event tomorrow for double drop.
Is it double drop every day? Or is it 1.5 drop every day?
No, so 1.5 is only for the experience. The drop event is going to be double, and then like twice a day on the same times as the 1.5x EXP. So one is like doable for us, and one is like literally the middle of the night.
Yeah.
4 to 6 a.m. Let's wake up for that one.
Efficiency.
Yeah. Oh, you failed 4 epic pots on the shoulder. That's very nice.
RNG.
Eddie was in the chat yesterday. He was like, "Oh, dude, I saved up 210 U Garden coins, and I was gonna epic potential my shoulder, and all 7 failed." I was like, "Oh no." 50% is not 50%. Just the day before, I got all the 3 accessories from Princess No, and all 350% worked for me. So it's like, oh no.
I was pretty lucky with my first like 6, I think 5 or something passed. So it's just.
Yeah, now it's
just
karma coming back. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So the main things: Spider, boost nodes, Legion, link skills, emblem. Do, 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 do. Those are like the main things. For your equips, going into CRA.
Do I 15 star with the new event?
You have so many things that are like non-permanent. 12 to 15. If you're not going to be pushing past 15, then 12 to 15 is, I feel, kind of a waste of your money.
Okay.
It doesn't give you as much as it should for how much it costs. The only reason you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Like make an excuse for it.
Is if you
Oh, you
get
can
the
justify.
16.
The only way you can like justify how much it costs is because once you get past 15, you get insane damage from it. But most of your equips, you're never going to be like getting past 15. So getting them to 15, I don't think would be worth it.
What about the things that I'm transfer hammering, such as the hat, overall,
Yeah,
and weapon?
yeah. For those, you could justify it, yeah.
Okay.
But then you want a 16, right? Because then you could drop again
winning.
after you transfer hammer because you lose 1 star.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
What
that's around 500 mil, right, from your calculator?
Um.
Or is
Yeah,
that
like
just
for,
17?
for that was for unique to legendary. So for epic to unique. Oh, for the calculator for star forcing.
Yeah.
Horntail pendant? Oh, it's just a placeholder. Expected
Because
cost.
I'm going to have the weapon for a long time as a Haku fan, right? So that I could argue that that's cost efficient.
If you're gonna move on to the Sweetwater, you mean? Yeah, because your current main weapon was gonna become your Haku weapon.
Yeah.
And then your Haku weapon, you would transform it into Commercy into another Sweetwater to make it like your new main weapon or something, right? Or I mean, you just equip whichever one main or Haku, whichever combination is the best. You can just switch them around and see which one turns the best.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're switching around, make sure that you right-click the buff on the top right for Haku.
Yep.
Yeah, to make sure it refreshes with the new weapon. Yeah. If your item is level 140 and you're going from 11 stars to 15, and there is wait, do we have a Star Force event on the way?
It's just know them. It's no boom to 15 if you're in the sauna.
Well, I would expect there to be like a 30% off again, because the last one we had was 5, 10, 15, right? And we had one of these too, the +1 Star Force for 10 or lower. So I'm expecting there to be 30% off soon in the next batch of Sunny Sundays. And then you do no safeguard because it's CRA, GMS. Let's do no star catching just to be safe. That's an average of 270 mil per item.
Oh. Okay.
So it's not too high, but the amount of stat you gain, and if you do that to 16 instead, then it goes up to 384. It's almost almost 50% extra for that one extra star.
Okay.
Because it increases the boom chance if you don't safeguard, right? But if you do safeguard, the average like doubles in cost. You don't want to ever like.
Do I want to dump 400 mil into my emblem or make something 16 stars? I
Yeah,
suppose that's the question.
yeah. I mean, it's probably emblem there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Create ID, Eclipse, WC, Eclipse, Matrix, Exit configuration, Legion configuration. Yeah, Legion. Your Legion stuff will start changing once you hit like 2K and once you actually reach the outer grid, right? Before that,
Yes.
you just dump whatever character you have into the magic attack into like block in the middle, and it's all fine. And dailies, weeklies routine, I'm pretty sure you're aware of all of them, but you just have somewhat limited time, so you do whatever is the most important in that time. And Golex is unavailable for now, and that's one of your most important ones. So
Yes. I've looked at your schedule for dailies to do and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm fairly familiar with that.
that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I just updated it with the what they are good for kind of thing.
Yes.
Um,
Not read that yet.
Yeah. But that's just mainly for new people to find, like, where do I shift my attention specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, you're pretty well on the way. I don't know if... Yeah, HMAG will be after CRA, like the Tyrant Cape and all of that kind of stuff.
Do you know if the Maple Tour 5% scroll works on Tyrant equips?
Maple Tour? Is there a Star Force scroll there?
There's a 5-star.
Oh yeah,
Star
no,
Force
no,
scroll.
no. That kind of scrolls never works on superior gear now. Because that would be
That's
cheating.
too.
You know that saying, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Oh, I remember when I was playing on EU servers, there were some scrolls that worked on Tyrants.
Interesting. I mean, it's like in TMS, right? They had the no boom room, and it also worked for Tyrant gear. So they were just able to get 15-star Tyrant without blowing it up. It's so stupid. Because then you could basically get your Tyrant gear. You could even skip Arcane at a certain, like, up to a certain point. Oh yeah, and redoing the hyper stats, right?
Yes, I've written everything down.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. The one benefit you could get out of unlocking your inner ability, you could roll it up to epic very easily with only like a few thousand points.
Mm-hmm.
And you could get like 8, 9, or 10% meso obtain, for example, in your top line. That would help you get like a little bit of money with very minimal input. So yeah, that's pretty easy, pretty quick to get. I used to do that back when Zakum still dropped bags of money instead of a crystal. I would do for all my characters. I would do that just to make them all make a little bit more money every time I did Zakum. For a time, I funded myself by doing like 80 Zakums a day, but I stopped doing that pretty quickly because that got real boring real fast.
A lot of DCs there too, I assume.
Oh yeah, a lot of relogging going on. Yeah.
It's for Kanna, obviously one of the good things about the class is farming. At what point can I reasonably expect to make some meso while just EXP farming? Is that ever?
I mean, you should always be making money.
I make like 20 mil an hour.
It's gonna be pretty low. You're using the. Wait, you don't use basically any pots, right? Because you have like that lifesteal thing.
Correct.
Well, once you get the spider, you'll see that bump quite a bit. Because then basically every single monster will always drop a bag, whereas now it's kind of like up in the air whether they will or not. The one thing that I think is good to do is once your accessories, if you get them up to legendary, is aim for 1 line of mesotain plus a line of intellect, and just keep that for like a while.
Would that be before 15 starting or after?
Honestly, probably before. It's roughly at the same time, though. It's a good question. It'll probably depend on whether or not there's an event going on. They're pretty similar. Like, if there's a DMT, then you probably want to go for the legendary first, and if there's a 30% off, then you probably want to go for the Star Force first, because they're roughly equivalent. I would put them.
Okay. After DMT, do I just dump my cash when I have it, or should I just continue to spend them?
Yeah, the next one is probably going to be like in July or maybe even August, especially if this one is already getting pushed back. Like if you don't get this one at all, then maybe it might be more early July. But yeah, you just dump it into getting Mesoptane ASAP, because you'll make that money back super fast. So up to 5 lines of Mesoptane between all of your accessories, just to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you erring on the side that DMT is likely we have passed the point in which we expect, or
I am agnostic. I don't know. I don't think I can know. Okay, I don't think it's not gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. I have no clue at this point.
Because like, when you mentioned it before, you said when you said agnostic, it's usually around this time period.
Yeah.
Is it? Are we passing that time period? Or are we
Typically
still
we
in-
have
no, no.
3, and typically it's around March, July, and December. So
Okay.
it can be a little bit before that. It can be a little bit after that. It would be uncharacteristic of them to skip, but I did message the community manager, and she basically said, like, "Whoa, DMT this close to Marvel? Why would anyone want that?" So they're very heavily also looking at non-reboot to be like, how much money do they have to spend? Because they have to buy their own cubes with real money, of course. And if you're like, hey, here's Marvel, dump a few $1,000s into this, and then, oh, here's a DMT, by the way, then people are going to be mad because they don't, they don't have that much money that quick together to spend.
Okay.
So they're probably more looking at that. So yeah, I think if it's not within like the next 2 weeks, then I think we're like shit out of luck until July, and then it's probably go time on dumping all of your money into upgrading and getting that Meso Obtain. Yeah.
Okay. And that shouldn't influence my decision on my emblem. You're suggesting?
So if your other friends, because yeah, ID is 100% just for the CRA stuff. It doesn't give you anything on mobbing. So if you can get Meso Obtain first, make more money, and then dump that into the emblem later once your friends like caught up and you're ready to start doing CRA, that's probably more efficient than first getting your emblem into better CRA position, but not giving you anything on the mobbing and slowing down your progression for Meso Obtain on your accessories.
Okay. Thank you. Getting to 220 should that be something that I should be pushing heavily forward for?
You could probably start making a decent amount at Slurpee, but yeah, like the Galina map at Lachaline is like dream territory for Kanna. It's super simple farming, very straightforward, easy money. Yeah, it's kind of like dream territory there, and as well as reaching 220 as soon as possible, because leveling up your Lachaline symbol is probably going to be pretty tricky. So if you can have event stores and stuff like that, be able to get your symbols there and dump those all into Lachaline for those free early levels, that's going to be very valuable for you. Yeah.
Okay. So realistically, being at Choo for a reasonable time frame isn't a bad thing to do at this point.
Wait, what do you mean to be there for like?
I hit 220 as soon as possible, just so I can get the free symbols. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, so that every time you have symbols from dailies or from Sunny Sunday or from event stores, that you can dump those all into Lachaline, because Vanishing Journey and Choo level among the fastest of all the symbols. And Lachaline is one of the slower ones because it depends on you getting far in Dream Defender in order to be somewhat equivalent to the rest. But as a Kanna, early on, your Dream Defender floor is going to be pretty shit. So, like, if you compare it to getting into Arcana, if you do Spirit Saver properly, that's immediately 18 symbols a day, like 10 there, and then 8 from the kill. But in order for Lachaline to get to 18 a day, you have to get 14 a day from Dream Defender, which means you have to clear floor 140 or 130, which is like not gonna happen like anytime remotely soon. Yeah.
Is 210 to 220 a lot significantly harder than 200 to 210?
I think if you can get a Slurpee map, it's probably easier. Are you doing Blazing Urdas now?
I'm doing Tranquil.
Okay. You might want to look into the Blazing Urda map, because it has a teleport from top to bottom that you can use to like get your Tengu to go to like teleport through. And your domain, since it's a vertical oriented skill, will hit a lot more platforms, and the map is a bit more narrow and higher. And the if you have that big blue circle that pops up, it'll also just go through the entire map and hit more monsters because of that. Tranquil is a more flat map, so those skills have like less area that they can cover. So,
I thought that just everyone kept on, from what I could see, said below the cave was just the top tier map.
For a lot of people it is, because a lot of people have predominantly vertical mobility, so they can like zoom through the map very quickly. But for you, you're going to be looking more for horizontal mobility. You're going to be looking more for vertical maps as a Kanna.
Fab.
So that Blazing, and then once you move in, if you can get like maps at Slurpee, it's super simple. You just put like a summon on top, summon on the bottom, and then you just spam Exorcist Charm in the middle, and you just kind of, and then you have your Suzume and your Circle of Suppression on, and everything just kind of dies. And once you keep
Okay.
track of when the big blue circle is gonna summon, you just jump down to the bottom platform, trigger it there, so it just flies through the map and kills everything above you. That map is kind of like perfect for you. So you're not really gonna see any slowdown in your rates because the map is perfectly fit for you, basically.
Perfect. And should range be a concern Choo Island?
Your damage range, it'll probably keep decently going up just by if you keep leveling your symbols. Just because of the intellect you get from there, because they still level very quickly. Not really. I mean, we went over some stuff that if you switch that right now will help you in your range already. I think you'll be fine.
Okay.
I think you'll be fine because the main thing is going to be so putting those matrix points in your matrix, right? Getting your good nodes, and once you start leveling those, you'll see your damage go up. So between leveling your symbols and your nodes, your damage will be going up a lot without your physical range actually going up, but your damage output will go up.
Yes.
So that's like very counterintuitive because in the beginning, all you have to like grade how strong am I is my damage range, and then once you get like past level 210, your damage range actually doesn't mean anything anymore.
Okay. And for nodes, I just scrap everything that I don't need. Just that simple.
Yes, if the top, if it's a boost node and the top skill is something you never want to boost, then it's just immediately disassemble. If it's a skill node you are not going to use, you disassemble that. And the special node, pretty much all of them you scrap. The only one you could consider using is character building 1, but I think you don't even have enough node slots available right now for the luxury of using that. So special nodes is like free shards, basically, yeah.
Okay. And using the node shards, do I prioritize them in any order, or is that just how it should it be? Skill nodes or boost nodes? Is it that and the is that a more nuanced question?
What I tend to do there is if I have a bunch of boost nodes that are starting with one skill, but I don't have the perfect tri node yet for that skill, I'll sometimes make like a bunch of nodes with that skill as a priority to see if I can like force the tri node there. And then once I have that, just throw all the other nodes that I have into that, level it up, equip that one, and then move on to the next thing. But you really go about using your node shards very differently depending on how many you have to work with. If you only have a little bit, it's probably best to just save it. Like, there's no point in really using like 200 or 300 node shards. If you got a few thousand, then you can start, the risk gets a lot lower of trying to throw them at something.
Okay.
So it's going to depend on how many nodes you start finding.
I think I have like 50 at this point, maybe.
Okay, well, get to opening, I guess. There's no harm in like opening them because you're gonna be prioritizing this one character anyway, right? So they don't have any value just sitting in your inventory. So it's best to just open them and see what you get.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, is that everything?
I think that's everything. All the questions that I have at the moment.
Okay. Well, if you have any follow-ups, you could always like hit me up on Discord if it's something very specific that is not urgent, or you can just fire away in the chat if you see me around.
Will do. Thank you very much.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You do as well.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.